Welcome to Didim TV. We've rebranded from Vision TV to Didim TV. And if you're joining us on YouTube, please click the like, make sure you drop a comment on there, and feel free to share the channel and the episodes to your audience. The more of these that are seen and the more episodes that are shared, the more chance there is of people actually moving to the area, which at a time when the economy here in Turkey is essentially on its knees, anybody considering to moving out or even coming on holiday and bringing foreign currency into the country and the area is an absolute blessing. So please do, comment, like and share the episodes. But today I am joined by certainly a lady in demand, Lynn Cole. Thank you very much for joining me today. You look surprised when I say you're a lady in demand.
I am surprised.
Lynn,
I'm hoping I'm not in demand.
Well, Lynn and I had a cup of coffee before we pressed the record button, and Lynn's phone was pinging with messages, and Lynn's taking phone calls left, right, and centre. And we're going to find out why you're a lady in demand, which I've got huge respect for you, Lynn. You run an organisation. You're a chairperson for Helping Hands. Is that right?
That's right.
So I'm really looking forward to delving into that. Putting that further on the map, because there'll be people who are watching and listening to this who aren't aware of that organisation. So I dare say the more people that are aware, the more chance there is of raising funds, and the more people that can help.
And what you're saying is, and the more my phone's going to ring.
There we go. You need an assistant or two, Lynn, I think. But I really appreciate you joining me today. When certainly a lady in demand. But first of all, let's start with yourself. So, how long have you been in Turkey? You live here full time?
I believe. We do, yeah.
And when was the big move?
Well, we've been here now, this will be our 14th year.
Wow.
Right. So, we came actually, it was a friend of ours that got an apartment here and said, why don't you come, and it's really nice, it's where we live. And so, okay, so we'll come on holiday for 2 weeks, as a lot of people do. And we came, and that was in the end of October, beginning of November, and by the 17th of January, yes, we had sold up our businesses and packed up and come over here.
Right, so to say that was a bit of a move, a bit of a shift, that's an understatement, right?
Well, you make a decision and that's it. You're gonna run by it, and there's no point in wasting time. Well, I didn't think so anyway. So that's what we did, and we rented when we came out in the beginning. And to be fair, we stayed in our friend's villa because she was back in the UK for the winter time. So of course, coming here winter was the worst time to come. But anyway, we got through that, and then we rented a place on Marty Sutesi. I don't know whether you know it.
I'm not sure I do, actually.
Okay, it's towards Yeshwell Kane.
Ah, yes, I do. Yeah,
I do. It's
an
absolutely fabulous place because it's got 2 beaches there, and you're right on the sea. Lovely.
I do know the spot. Yeah, it's
a little
beautiful.
Expensive, but very nice. And we rented there until we got our bearings and spoke to people and got a feel for everything. And then we didn't at that time sell our house in the UK. We still had a boat also.
So you kept your options open. So although a big move, clearly you had a little bit of insurance, bit of a safety net.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. So yes, and eventually we bought a very rundown house. Actually, it had been empty for 4 years, but it was a big house. It had been owned by a doctor, and everybody had been in and taken everything out of it. So, but we did it. We enjoyed that project. And we stayed in that house for 8 years, and then we moved. So, but whilst we was in Marty Sutesi, of course, a lot of people there that own the properties there, they own them as holiday homes. They come from Istanbul or Ankara or wherever.
Yeah.
And they just come down for the summertime. And we were, it's not really fair to say shocked, but we kind of were really at the amount of disabled people there were.
Right, okay.
So, and children. And then looking around more, you sort of got this feeling, and And someone asked me, someone wanted some funding for something, and someone asked me, and I said to them, well, I think, I could do a swim or something like that. And a lot of this evolved at that particular time that the council had decided they would like to come up with a group, a foreigners group, which would help foreigners. If they've got a problem with the passports or they could come to the group and they could ask them. But this was never going to work because you've got people involved in it that already had similar businesses.
Right.
So you could see the writing was on the wall with it. So that was when we decided, quite a few of us actually decided that we would probably do more if we opened a charity.
And so you moved out here, you rented, you had then a project and a property for 8 years.
Yeah.
When does this project of an organisation, a charity, come around?
It came around at the same time that we were at Martis Tesse, and we'd seen so many disabled people.
Okay.
And the council were wanting us to have this group to help foreigners with their problems. But no, as I say, I could see that wasn't going to work. It would have been better, I thought, to have had a group, a charitable group, that would help disabled people.
And how far are you, how many years are you in Turkey at this point when this is starting to bubble?
Oh, not long. I mean, we've been doing this charity now for 11 years. So,
right.
yes.
Wow. So
it's charity in inverted commas.
I'm curious, right? Because you've made the quick move and decision. Something about Didim Altinken got you, and you wanted to move here, which we'll touch on. I'm always curious because often people don't know why. It's one of these places where
it is actually. You're quite right about that. It's a bit like Blackpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a one.
A lot less roller coasters in Didim than Blackpool, though. Unfortunately, I do like roller coasters. But you've done the move. You've mentioned you've sold businesses. And then many would think you'd come here to put your feet up and have a relaxing time, enjoy the beaches and have a few beers and all the rest of it. And then you throw yourself into an organisation to help people.
Yeah, I mean, what you need something to do when you're here. You can't just... And there was a lot of Turkish people that just thought that, Brits do is go in the pub and drink and get drunk and stuff like that. So it was a case of sort of fitting in with everybody and being recognised for something a little bit different, and that's what we did. And it was hard to get people on board at the beginning, that everybody gelled together and worked together. That's the thing.
Are we talking just English, purely foreigners, or a mix of English, foreigners and Turkish?
Well, of course, we work with we don't
the
know
council.
what I'm saying, of course.
No, I know you did mention that, which is interesting.
Yeah, and the foreigners group that they wanted to set up in the beginning would have been overseen by the council.
Okay.
So then this became replaced by our charitable group. So anything that we did, and still to this day, anything that we do, we run by the council first. And the council do our accounts. So nobody takes anything out of the pot that shouldn't be taken out. In fact, to be honest with you, like I say, we've been going now for 11 years, and the group owns a printer. And that is it.
Right.
So that gives you some idea as to where the money goes.
Okay.
And we work with social service closely as well. So we know that the money's going to people that need it the most. So it's all worked out very, very well. And now we've got 35 volunteers.
35 volunteers?
Yeah, but we don't ask too much for them because, of course, they're all elderly. You talk about that and I talk about it. And, I was talking the other day, I was talking to somebody the other day about over to Scarborough. And this guy had said he'd been to Scarborough, he'd been staying in the Grand, and I said, well, we had a few days to spare one time when we came back to the UK, and we stayed in the Grand, right? And it was quite fun to watch everybody. I'm a bit of a people watcher anyway. To watch everybody, and I said to him, but the people that are staying, they were all old people. And then I sat back and I thought, well, I'm 68, my husband's 70 next. We are those people. So you need to do something, otherwise you just, you can get old very quickly if you want to, can't you?
It's very interesting that I've spoken to a number of business owners, entrepreneurs in the UK in their mid to late 70s, and they're often asked, why do they still do it? Why don't they just retire? Why don't they go and put the feet up? And they say, no, their business, their purpose provides accountability, and it keeps them going. And I know people, and I've had conversations with people where, say, their parents have retired, or when their grandparents retired, and it was a fairly quick decline in health.
Right. Yeah.
Whether that's mentally or physically. So I think there is something about having accountability, a purpose, a reason to go to bed, a reason to get up in the morning, things like that.
And something to occupy your mind a little bit,
Well, you touched on, Lynn, here, and we've spoken on the podcast before that we essentially do live in a holiday resort here. But we can't holiday forever. Exactly. So how big a part has Helping Hands played for you having a purpose? I mean, I know some people might think you're mad by in the nicest possible way, by doing all the work you do and all the stress and pressure and organisation. But on the positive side, what that means to you, what that provides to you and yourself, and the community that you build around you.
Obviously, an awful lot of people, and there's so many nice people here, and what does it mean to me? Well, sometimes it can become a bit of a burden, but then, people will say to my husband, it's as if you need to tame her. She's like this people.
So far, so good on this podcast. Then I'm feeling quite lucky.
And then he'll go, we can't do this forever, and you can't, and you need to slow down. But then you need to slow down, but then you can't slow down really, because something else happens, and somebody needs some help. So what can you say? You're not going to help them? Because it's moved on quite drastically, actually. I mean, when we first started, it was about purchasing wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs for disabled. And
are these for expats, Brits, foreigners,
no.
Turkish people?
No, Turkish people.
Pure, right?
And everything was about Turkish people. Okay. So that's what we did, and we still do, and we've now purchased more electric wheelchairs than any group in the whole of Turkey.
Is that right?
Yes. So that's something I suppose we can be proud of. But
I think you should definitely be proud of that. If you're questioning whether you should or shouldn't be, I mean that's incredible. I mean,
that's a small part, of what we've done. We've met with surgeons from Istanbul that have come and done operations on children with spina bifida, and they're amazing, absolutely amazing the work that they do. And we've paid for the theatre. The surgeons have done the work for free, and we've paid for some of the aftercare, because the aftercare can go on for many years. Actually, so at some point you kind of have to draw a line. We've rebuilt Ballet Infant School. We've put playing fields in. We've bought children the kits, all the sports kits. We've built the disabled training centre here. So that made a big impact actually. Yeah. And then they had the disabled ambulance, which we only funded that with a small amount of money. That wasn't a large amount of money. The disabled beach down here, because we do ABBA.
I didn't know that.
No.
No, I didn't know that.
Right, okay.
Can you? Where is that located, and what?
I'm surprised you don't know it. You know where they bring the boats in?
Yes.
The tour boats.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you've got the Belvedere Cafe.
Yes.
Yeah. And then if you look at the beach there, directly.
I know the one.
To the side of you, there's the disabled beach.
Because it's got the ramp down, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's got chairs that float that we can Yes.
I do know the one. I wasn't aware it was.
And of course, it's bordered part of it as well for wheelchairs, and we put the toilets on there, and we put the storeroom on there, and then we ended up putting the kitchen on there. And, so all good. It's all good stuff, really. And it's funded mainly out of people donating clothes.
Really? So that's kind of the foundation of it, is people donating clothes and...
Yes, we have a container at the Saturday market, and now every week we sell second-hand clothes. Yeah, the mayor put the container on there for us, which we were very grateful for, because prior to that we had the storeroom we still have at the fire station, and we was taking all the bags of clothes from the top floor on the fire station, loading them into the disabled vehicle, taking those to the market, and unloading them and taking the tables and everything in there, and then taking them all back again, and the umbrellas, and it became a bit of a nightmare. So we were grateful for that concept.
That sounds like a lot of work. I dare say, although it was at the fire station, maybe none of the firemen were helping with the.
They'd help now and again.
Right.
Yeah, and there's another story there. There's another story, because as this has gone on, and we've done more and more and more, then I was going to say Brits, but yeah, really British people, they were coming and they were saying, Lynn, we need some help. Is there anybody, or there's a lady here, she's not well, she needs to go back to the UK, she hasn't got any family.
Oh wow.
Nobody to look at, and things become very complicated. And then, and also then people said, well, Lynn, can you just sort out the funeral, because we don't know what to do. So I think last year we did they name it, no, I think possibly about 20 funerals last year.
And that's in Turkey?
That's here in Didim. Yeah, and then, and then you're trying to converse with people, with maybe family that live in Australia or live in America, and trying to get everything together. It's and that's hard work. And then doing the service, and doing a proper order of service, making sure that everything's done as they would have expected it in the UK, or more or less as they would have expected it in the UK. That in itself is a job, without everything else that's going on. But this is how it's developed, and how can you say no?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that's my next question, is that clearly the variety that you help with, the flexibility and the variety, in one way is a great thing. It is so positive, but I imagine on the flip side, I mean, how do you say no? Because of course you as any organisation or charity haven't got a bottomless pit in terms of finances or resources when it comes to work and helpers. How do you say no? What and how difficult is that to do?
You can't.
Really? So.
You can't. And this is my husband says, listen, you've got to start, and you can't do that.
Wow.
I can't personally do that. If somebody needs help, then get help. That's really what you have to do.
That's pretty inspiring, Lynn.
And I mean, right down to if somebody's gone missing in the town, and the family can't reach them on the phone, or then you get a phone call, and then you call up and not find them, and find them fine. But and sometimes things that get pretty grim. I mean, we once had a gentleman, actually I saw him, he was walking down the road, it was June or July, and he had a jumper on. And I thought, well, maybe it is a Turkish gentleman. I was just driving past that had a stroke or something, and he's just out exercising. Mm-hmm. So I won't, it's not my business. I thought, Lynn, mind your own business. Anyway, I went to the market, and then I saw him in a cafe around the market. And my friend said, Lynn, can you speak to him? Because he normally comes up here with his partner. So I said, okay. Anyway, I spoke to him. And it turned out he got multiple sclerosis. And I asked him about his partner, and he said his partner was in the shower. So I says, oh, okay, is he coming here? And he said, I don't know. And I says, how long has he been in the shower? And it turned out he'd been in the shower for 3 days. So yeah, so you come across things. It's life, isn't it? It happens. So who's going to be there for that person?
Wow.
There is. So when people decide to come here, I mean, okay, you can get health insurance here, but you can only really get it if you haven't had that problem before you leave the UK. If it's an ongoing problem, you're not going to insure you against it. But there are a lot of people that come here and do not think about tomorrow. It's all about today.
Well, that does lead me on to a question that one of our viewers got in touch with. We do receive a variety of emails and comments and messages from around the world, which is great, because the whole reason for doing this podcast is to provide value, insight, advice to help many people, whether they're visiting here on holiday or coming to live, to volunteer, to be part of an organisation. We've literally got people who are now considering early retirement because they understand the cost of living here and the value of moving and healthcare and things like that. But one of the questions we received was, in the UK, retirement age is 66. Now, I do know on average people live 11 years after that. So if you retire at 66, and you've got an average of 11 years. Now, the question was, what happened? And I call the retirement age the golden generation, and I hope that's complimentary. I really do.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So the golden generation.
You can run with that one.
I'll run with. Thank you, Lynn. We're still good. But the question was, what happens to the generation above the golden generation in terms of healthcare, actual more closer care? Because I off the back of that question, I did visit the one council-run care home here, which has 44 residents, and it's the only one in the area. I have heard there's something in Abbrook, or is there? No, I think you mentioned Iden, so you'd go as far as Iden and Soak. Kushadasi, yes.
I'm not talking out there about government homes. I'm talking private homes.
So,
Kushadasi, Soak. And there are other ones. But,
are there private homes in this area? Because
they're not. Yes. Kushadasi,
But that's what 45 minutes an hour away. So it's not local, really.
No, there are not. There aren't any local.
So right, that's interesting.
That hospital, nursing home there, or residential home, whatever you like to call it, that is Turkish.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a government home, and it's mainly for Turkish, and it's run by Turkish, and they all speak Turkish, obviously. So if you try to, if a person, an expat was to be placed in there, they wouldn't be comfortable with what they got unless they could speak Turkish.
And I dare say, because of the limited capacity anyway, there probably wouldn't be room, right? That's just making an assumption.
You can say that, but we went up to Ballot to one. Well, we go up pretty regular actually, because it's a village sort of 20 kilometres out of Didim, and it's a farming village, and you do get people that need food parcels and different things, people that need help. We've just had, last year there was a house up there caught fire. The council rebuilt the house, but they didn't have any furniture or anything in it, and we put all the white goods in for the kitchen, and we've taken the bedding and beds, different things, and Viking Kitchens down here, they came along and they put the kitchen in for free. So we do get out there and we do speak to people, and with social services we understand what people need. And going back to what you was talking about, we went up there and we were speaking to this, obviously the council, so speaking to this elderly lady there, very elderly lady, and she was really struggling walking. She lived by herself there in an old stone house, the roof wasn't very good and bits of things needed doing to it. And she wouldn't move. She wouldn't go into a care home. She didn't want to move. She wanted to be where she was, with everybody that knows her around her, and the next door neighbours would take her bits of things in, and people down the road would take her things in, and that's how it works here. And more often than not, you find that the elderly people are actually looked after by the families. It's totally different to the UK.
And this is great, because that was my next. I've got to be honest. My next question was, because when I explored. We received this question, this inquiry, and I've since explored it a bit. And although yes, historically families will look after the older members of the family, from what I'm discovering, that's becoming less and less, because what you've got now is you've got people moving, say younger generations, moving to the bigger cities because where the work is, where the opportunities are, and I think culturally it's less and less a thing where the youngsters will stay within the family home. You look at the UK, I mean, once upon a time that was the case in the UK, right? But we're talking a long time ago.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it will evolve and move, and things will change. There's absolutely no doubt about that. That's life, isn't it, really? But yeah, they do tend to look after the road.
And do you find?
And sorry,
no, it's okay.
It was funny because someone was saying the other day, it's very hard to do business with Turkish people.
Right.
Because before the banks, before anything, it's the family. Their family comes first. And I thought that was kind of interesting, to be honest with you. It's true, they do.
That does make sense. I see that a lot, that they look within their family network and community first and foremost, and then often their neighbours or their extended family.
Yeah.
And I see that with a majority of things, really. Certainly in business, and I've got Turkish friends who have businesses, and it does seem like a very. There always seems there's a new cousin visiting from their hometown, and then working with them. Yeah,
well, my half cousin or my, and it just goes on and on and on. Family gets bigger and bigger and bigger because, of course, everybody knew one another here, and it's not that long since this town has developed so fast in the time that we've been here anyway. I've never actually seen anything like it. It's absolutely amazing, and it's brilliant what they've done.
14 years. What's the big differences? You know, some like main points of difference from when you came here to now in terms of development, what's on offer, systems, processes. You know, what are some of the big things that over? Because that's.
I mean, simple things like roads, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you wouldn't have had a road outside here, and the boulevard here wasn't very good at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd go home with mud on your shoes like you were. What did they call that guy? That singer. And he used to wear them boots, didn't he, with soles on that were that. Well, that's what you felt like. You were in like moon boots when you got home. And you were sort of a foot higher than what you should be because of all this dirt and it stuck on the bottom of your boots like it was concrete.
So that even for the golden generation, that must have been pretty frustrating and difficult.
And there was no real lighting up these little roads or back streets, and now you look at it and they put a motorway in and it takes them no time at all. The work that they do is amazing. And how they've moved on, to me, is just phenomenal. I
hear some of the systems in place as well, from like gaining your residency, paying your electric, you know, all of those.
Everything's it's becoming more, well, they say easier because people can do it on the computer and they can pay their electric or pay the water. But residencies and different things, unfortunately, they keep changing. So they make that sometimes becomes a little awkward. Things, they do change, and then you just think, oh well, I've got this residency now for 5 years, and then they change it to 1 year or 2 years, and then you have to keep going back when you've already lived here for 5 years, so they already know about you. Mm-hmm. You know, they already know who you are, where you live, and what you do, more or less. So why you have to keep doing all this, I don't know, sometimes makes you wonder. But that's it. If you want to live here, you have to put up with it, don't you? Really, I suppose. But when you get up in the morning and when you get up in the morning and it's blue sky, you sit outside. The air quality is second to none. It's we know.
What's been your greatest challenge, Lynn, since being here? And I know that's a very broad and open question.
You can fit in quite easily here. You know, you've no problem. There's always somebody that'll help you. There's always somebody to talk to. You can fit in for our age. I mean, we came here at 53. I was 53 when we came here, so yeah, you fit in no problem at all. And it certainly isn't a challenge getting up in the morning when you see the blue sky and you can go in the sea. And
that can depend on how many beers you've had the night before, though.
Well,
that is true.
Like you live in a fog. Yeah. Challenge as far as challenges for me is, I think we've possibly got a little bit too deep into what we're doing, and that is a big challenge. You know, I'll just give you an explanation here. We had a lady. You'll have to excuse me. I get a bit nervous when I'm under the hotspot here.
No, you're not coming across nervous at all. So if you are, you're hiding it very well.
We had a lady, and she was English, and we knew very little about her. And she was in Kushikase. I understood she'd been working in Kushikase. She was originally from Didim. And she was in the hospital in Dennisley, which is quite a way out.
Yes.
And we was asked if we could help her. So we found out she was very ill. She'd had a brain hemorrhage. And we found out where she'd been working, who she'd partnered for a while. We found out that she actually had Sagota insurance because of her work, which was surprising. Her partner had moved away, and he'd gone, although he was Turkish, he'd gone to the UK, and he was living in the UK. She didn't have anybody but her son. And when we contacted the son unfortunately took drugs and had his own problems, but he wanted to look after his mum. So we got him over here, and he stayed with her in the hospital, and we paid for his accommodation and his food, and at night time he would wake up every 2 hours and turn her because she needed him. We managed to get her into a residential home, the one in Kushikase, private. But the Sagota would pay most of that anyway. But they couldn't take her for 2 months. So we agreed that we would pay for her care in a private hospital for 2 months, although they knew at the hospital the work that we were doing. So obviously we got it at a rate that nobody else would get it at. And he did very, very well with Shinla. I've got to say, he really looked after her. Unfortunately, on the Monday she was supposed to go into the private hospital, she died on a Sunday. And we went over there. You might know Pat, you know Pat anyway, and Pat and Alan. Pat and I went over, and we went into the cafe there. We were looking for him, and he had his head down on the table, and he put a hoodie on, and I just lifted his face up, and it was black and blue, and he'd done that to himself.
Oh.
So we got him back to Didim. We sorted out the funeral and everything, and got him back to the UK. And these are situations where I don't care really what anybody says. All right, I do care about what my husband says, but how can you walk away from that? How can we turn around and say, I'm sorry, we don't have the time, we don't have the money to be able to do this, or we can't help you? that's when people need help, and it does happen, and it happens an awful lot to people that have come over here that are single, particularly single men,
Right.
and then they drop into this sort of gear that they don't eat properly, and they've got nobody else, and then they spend the money, and what do they do? I'm talking now about foreigners.
Yeah, yeah.
So although we do an awful lot, we do the food parcels and for the village, we take out to the villages, and they need them more and more now. The exchange rate is crucifying people here, Turkish people, because their wages haven't gone up to match the way the exchange rate's gone into free fall at the moment. So everybody's feeling the pinch, and that's when they need the help. And even if it's just for school books, for shoes, for clothes, for children, for winter, it's needed, isn't it?
Yeah. And are you busy on your social media? Are you capturing?
No.
Right. Okay.
No, most definitely not. Because for one thing, I don't have the time, and sometimes I don't have the time to tell our team everything that we're doing.
Yeah. So even at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't.
You know. Yeah, because we have our own life as well. You have to have time for yourself, don't you? So that's some points. But when we do the markets, we have the girls and a couple of guys that help on the markets, the market stalls, and they only work for 2.5 hours every 2 weeks. But we do the market every week. So we have 2 teams in there, and they all get together and natter, and they all natter amongst themselves, and now and again we put stuff out. And it all gets round, really, it does, but sometimes I feel that on that side we definitely not doing enough. Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering. I'll just put this out there. Anyone that's watching, listening to this, that could offer some time and expertise in looking to work with you to help with that side of things, because obviously if you're capturing. I'm so inspired, Lynn. I mean, we've met before.
I mean, don't be.
Well, no.
Seriously, don't be.
But you don't have a choice on that one, I'm afraid. From my point of view, if I'm feeling inspired, I'm feeling inspired, Lynn. You can just sit there and take that and But my point being is, if it is inspirational what you do, and the stories that you're sharing, and thanks so much for sharing them. It really is inspiring, and I think that the more that you're able to show that and document that and share that with more people, then the chances of getting more volunteers, more resources, more finances at play are greater. So I think that's maybe something to explore for anybody's out there that can contribute, even from afar, because they may not even need to be on the ground here in Didim, Turkey, in Didim Altinkum, Turkey. They could oversee your Facebook page and Instagram page and support with that, because if there's more eyes on that and what you do, and if I'm feeling inspired and then 1,000 people see that and feel the same thing, then that can only support and be a benefit.
And of course, as I was saying earlier, I'm 68 now. My husband's 70 next, and really what we do need is somebody younger. Right. This needs to carry on. Mm-hmm. The group's gone on a long time now. It's been very worthwhile. It works well at the moment. Well, so. But it would be nice if the younger generation could come in and do something, because our time's short.
Well, people can comment on our YouTube, on our socials. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Oh, well, I'm on Messenger, Facebook,
right.
Didim Helping Hands.
Helping Hands on Facebook, yeah?
Yeah.
And is that Helping Hands Didim? Helping Hands?
Didim, help, in, hands.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll drop the link in the comment section, so in the post, so people can click on that.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
we could talk for hours on all the.
I could talk for
amazing
days, weeks in fact. Yeah.
We could on all the amazing stuff you do. I mean, I'm curious, what do you personally love about this area? you know, if you're going to go for a glass of wine, a beer, a bite to eat, where are kind of the top 2 or 3 places you enjoy to frequent?
I don't. Well, obviously we do, but we tend to go mostly to places that support the group.
Yeah, we talked about the strength of community and family and extended family. Okay,
and
so
if they support Helping Hands, then we try to support them to some extent.
Let's get them out on the table. They deserve to be known, to be put.
Well,
So I know you had your summer ball at Mavi.
Oh yes,
and
that's been going on for years.
Yeah,
and that, most people
Yusuf and the family are amazing at Mavi. I love those guys there.
Yeah.
So,
they are.
And you had
fabulous,
under the COVID restrictive circumstances, you still had a lot of people there.
Yes, we did. We did. We had to cap it this time, because of the COVID, so people weren't so close together. Cash's Bar. We have our auctions there once a month.
Brilliant. Is that like the same kind of time every month, or?
It's the first Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock.
And just where's that again?
At Cash's Bar.
Perfect.
Yeah. Casper's, we've always had help from Casper's. They tend to be turning now a little bit towards helping the dogs more, which, to be honest with you, I don't understand. Or the cats, and it's not in my psyche. So if they want to share that, then that's fine. They do whatever they want to do. Just for you, they've come on board and they're helping as well now. And then you've got Alan and Sharon at my bar there. So there's quite a lot, and like you go on the seafront. And
Dai, yeah. My favourite bar. My favourite bar. That's where we met.
Well, it is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then Iqbal's, they'll do anything that, not anything, with helping with what. And we've already agreed to do Easter Sunday down there.
Fantastic.
And the Chucky Egg Challenge, where everybody gets egg on the face, but never mind. Not in a nasty way. At least we feed the dogs on that day.
Yes, indeed.
So you've got that. The guy at Picasso, they do they work actually with a doctor from the dermatologist, and they're big into doing fillers and all this kind of face things.
What do they call them? The cosmetic tourists.
Right.
I didn't think I'd remember that. Yeah, cosmetic tourism, which we know the area is big for.
Yeah.
Which of course.
Botox and things like that.
Botox
they do nails,
and
they do
teeth
hair,
and
they do all sorts of things.
Which don't get us wrong, brings money into the local economy. It does bring money into the local economy for the bars, the restaurants, and so. You don't agree?
Oh well, actually, I think it's a bit diverse from what you normally get, and I think, and like I say, the town's moving on.
Yes.
Things are getting more.
Yeah, true.
More forward looking all the time. The bars are changing so much. This wouldn't have happened.
And it's interesting because this is something I wanted to touch on, is that I think, although it's been a very challenging last year or two with the area, I think we've experienced a different level of tourism, and what I've picked up is a lot of Turkish tourists that would normally go to the likes of Çeşme have been more drawn to this area, not only because of the cost difference, but the actual level of quality that's gone up. Because during lockdown, we're here at David People on the Boulevard, so great venue. Friend runs this place. It's him and his family, and I think when you look at David People didn't really need a refurb. They were a good-looking restaurant and bar, but because others took the opportunity on the Boulevard to spend money, invest and renovate, then restaurants and bars like David People thought, well, we'll also do the same. And I think you've got 12 plus bars, restaurants on the Boulevard that have done that, let alone on the front as well. We've got some lovely new bars.
It's wonderful on the front.
Absolutely.
It really is. And even coming up the Boulevard here now, there was hardly a dentist here when we came. And now you look at it, and they look like offices, don't they? And they're filled with dentist chairs.
Yeah.
And glass, and you can see, and it's just, it's just good for the town, good for tourism, moving forward, and we need the tourism.
I mentioned at the start of this,
Now you can go to places like Antalya, which we do at Christmas time, and or Istanbul's totally different. Like Antalya, places on the coast. And you won't actually get what you get here.
Mm-hmm.
It's busy, it's spread out, it's not welcoming. And if you want to see history here, or you're into that, there's so much.
Yeah.
And it's on your doorstep. You don't have to get on a bus and go an hour and a half down the road then to see it, like maybe you would do it in Antalya.
Yeah, it's unique in that respect, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think now that obviously they will start building more and more hotels.
Well, we've got the amphitheatre.
Yes.
Is that 4,500 seater amphitheatre that's going to be ready for the season? So
that'd be lovely. Yeah,
that's going to be unbelievable.
Entertainment thing. We need, and it does need to attract more tourists. We need entertainment all the time. Yeah. I mean, okay, you could talk about Benidorm. You would never ever want this Didim Altincum to be like Benidorm.
No.
But when they first started, if I remember rightly, it was all about you can get entertainment.
I remember that I first came, I think it was 97, 98, and I mean we've now talked about the step up in quality of bars, restaurants and offerings, and I think from what I experienced from 1998 on what the entertainment was like, essentially it didn't really change for 10 or 15 years. Because they didn't need to change, businesses didn't need to change. Now there's local investment being spent on venues. There's investment coming from out of town, and as we said, I think that's only a good thing for the area. Keep your eye on like the Facebook groups and whatnot, and people who haven't been able to visit the area for their holiday homes for the last 2 years, and of course are dying to get out there. So looking forward to getting it. People are going to be pleasantly surprised on the improvements that are made. Even the roads, I think it was 11 million lira, on the beautiful roads to the front.
Yes.
Now 11 million lira when that was spent it'd be closer to 20 million now.
Yeah.
So to put that into context of that.
Yeah.
And when they did that it's very decorative and it's separate stones. Essentially, they didn't need to do it at that level, but they did, and I think that's a big difference from 10 or 15 years ago.
I do find that in respect to planning, I do think they are forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I mean, you look at a 10-year plan, they're quick about what they do.
Yeah. Well, is it
They don't take anything back like like in the UK. Okay, you only get your bin emptied once every 2 weeks or whatever. You can get your bin emptied 3 times a day.
I've heard that. I know. I had a mate in the UK. So when I told him that, he said, "Well, straight away, I could tell them how to be more the council to be more efficient on the costs and to put money elsewhere." But that is true, isn't it? You can have your bin emptied 3 times a day, which is it's crazy to hear. I think often people that haven't visited Turkey are really surprised. I mean, when we cover on these podcasts, people are surprised with the level of healthcare that's available here.
Yes.
And then when they come as well, I've picked up before, people who haven't visited Turkey often consider it to be like a Morocco, very barren and dry, and it's lush and green and the quality. I've had a number of friends of family who have visited out here, and they're super surprised on what this area is like, and that was 2-3 plus years ago, let alone all the investment that's happened over the last 18 to 24 months. So I think we're definitely going in a way. We just need to pray for a proper season for the business, for first and foremost the economy's sake, and also for people just there's mental health at play, which is important as well for those wanting to visit, and also the people that visit here. But Lynn, I think we'll look to wrap this up as much as we can talk forever. we're just into 2022 now,
Yeah,
which is
okay.
crazy to think.
Yeah.
Looking to the year ahead, you know, what excites you about the year ahead? I'm sure there are. I mean, if I said what are the challenges, I'm purposely not asking that question because it just seems you have an abundance of challenges, and I just have so much huge respect for who you are and what you do.
No,
It's like
honestly,
it's incredible.
We've got a team, and we've got people behind.
It's a team effort, of course. But what are you looking forward to this year, personally, for the organisation? What excites you looking at the year ahead?
I personally think that the businesses here, just like this business, an awful lot of them have managed to carry themselves for so long during COVID, and you know, at some point they draw a line and they can't manage no more. And there's a lot of businesses now that are on that border. So I'm hoping that this COVID thing is
behind us.
Everybody has their injections, and you know, and yes, certainly, we need it to be behind us though.
We do indeed, for everybody's sake.
For everybody. You know, for the schools as well, they need to get back to normality. The kids need educating, and yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be absolutely great.
Well, shall we commit now on a personal level to share a beverage on the front in the height of summer, and hopefully struggle to get a seat as we look onto the beach. And
that'd be nice.
So let's commit to that, you and I. But Lynn, thanks so much for joining us once again. Where can people find you online on Facebook?
You'll find us on Facebook.
Helping Hands.
Didim Helping Hands.
Didim Helping Hands.
Don't get confused, because there is a site that has been set up, and that's for dogs, and that's called Helping Hands.
Ah, right.
And
okay.
it was set up after ours.
Right.
So
okay.
You know,
so Didim Helping Hands.
Please look at what you're reading, although we don't put that much on because we don't have that much time to do it. But
which we hope we can help with.
Listen, it's been lovely to speak to you as well, and yeah, great.
Yeah, thank you. As I said,
and things like this,
it really does help.
All
Yeah,
helps,
it helps.
and it helps people
sometimes.
understand about the town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit more.
And likewise, if anybody's thinking of volunteering, you know, get in
They
touch.
can come and see me.
Fantastic.
Please do, yes.
Lynn, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you very much.
Cheers.